We're going to do a lab today, the purpose of which is to find the velocity of a motorized toy car. Now the problem, always phrased in the form of a question, what is the velocity of a motorized toy car? The lab is going to look essentially like this. This is your toy car with a piece of cardboard attached. That piece of cardboard is attached because we're going to use something called a motion sensor to detect the motion of the car. And the motion sensor doesn't always detect the motion of the car because the car is so small. We need to make the car bigger in order for the motion sensor to detect it. So hence we put the piece of cardboard on it. Now that motion sensor collects the data, the position time data of the movement of the toy car, and it transmits it by a wire, it's connected by a wire, to a device that we call an AirLink apparatus. That AirLink transmits that data from the motion sensor wirelessly via Bluetooth to your phone. Now once that data is on your phone, you're going to export that data to your Google Drive and then take it from your Google Drive, import it into Google Sheets, plot a graph with it, and find the velocity of this toy car. Just a quick little note. You can see on the right-hand side here we have the motion sensor, a magnified version of the motion sensor. There's a little switch on the magnified version of the motion sensor here. That switch can be in one of two positions. Position 1 has a picture of a little man or a person, stick figure of that person. Picture number 2 is a picture of a little cart. You want that switch to be on the picture of the little cart. Now, this is the setup of the lab. Basically the way it's going to work is that you're going to take this toy car, place it in front of the motion sensor after everything is turned on and connected, and you're going to turn on the car. Turn on the motion sensor, detect the motion of the car as it moves at a constant velocity for 2 or 3 seconds, and then turn it all off and send your data to your phone, send your data to your Google Drive. Now, the app, the Sparkvue app that you're going to use to collect this data on your phone, when you open it up, is going to look something like this. Notice at the top it should say motion sensor. If it doesn't say motion sensor, then that means you're not connected properly. If it does say motion sensor, I want you to click on the word position. That's going to take you to a screen that looks like this, a position time graph that's blank. When you're ready to go, you're going to press the button, the green button in the bottom left-hand corner in order to start collecting data. It'll turn red. When you're ready to stop collecting data, press the red button. Now, the data that you should get should look something like this. Notice there is some constant velocity going on here as indicated by a straight line on a position time graph. There's also some data over here that seems to be pretty much random. That's probably while we had our hand in the way of the motion sensor. We're going to delete that data later on. Down here, this appears to be almost random as well. That's probably after the motion sensor lost contact with the movement of the toy car. We're going to delete that data later on as well. We'll show you how to do that in a bit. You have to take this data now from your phone and export it to your Google Drive. Click the button, the share button up here in the top right-hand corner. That's going to allow you to export it to a number of different places, but you want to choose your Google Drive. So click on Google Drive. Make sure your account is your school account. If it's not, then log out of whatever account you're logged into and sign in your school account. Then you're going to select which folder you want it saved to in your Google Drive. Save it to a folder that you're going to be able to find it in. Don't save it to some random folder where you're going to not be able to find the file. Click Upload. Becomes pretty intuitive at this point, and then it's saved to your Google Drive. If you do happen to lose your file, not sure where you saved it, it's titled Exported Data. So do a search for exported data and you should be able to find it. Now you have to import it into Google Sheets in order to plot a graph. Go into your Google Drive where you've saved your exported data file, find it, and then right-click it. On a Chromebook, right-click is just two fingers touching the touchpad. When you right-click it or two-finger click it, you're going to get some options that you see right here. You want to click Open With, then click Google Sheets. When you do that, after a few seconds, you should see Google Sheets open up with the exported data file. There's a number of columns here, most of which you don't want for this particular lab. So what I want you to do is click on your velocity column right up here at the header, click on it, and then right-click and say Delete Column. Do the same thing for column D. Right-click the header, delete column. Then these two columns disappear, and all you're left with is your two columns that say time and position, which is exactly what you want. You're going to take that data, plot a graph, and find the velocity of this toy car by using Google Sheets and the graph on Google Sheets to find the slope. What do you got to hand in for this? A problem. The problem that I gave you, phrased in the form of a question. Your materials or your apparatus, your data, which is in Google Sheets, you're going to just literally highlight that, copy and paste it into your document. Your analysis, which is your graph, including the slope of the graph. And I'll show you later on how to plot that graph and determine the slope of that graph. And finally, what is the conclusion, which is essentially, what is the velocity of the toy car? What did you find it to be? And then how do you know? Well, how do you know what the velocity of that toy car is? Well, you took the slope of a position time graph. So whatever that slope is, write it down as the first sentence in your conclusion, and then justify your conclusion by saying, essentially, that I found the velocity of that toy car by taking the slope of that graph.